Hey guys, welcome to Tech Positive. I'm Charlie Dino, your host. Tech Positive is our podcast where we're trying to put out technology solutions that increase revenue and profitability. Welcome to today's show. I'm really excited about the topic today. It's something that I've touched on in my career, and we have an awesome guest today to talk about it. It's RPA, robotic process automation. We'll talk about a little bit today about some misnomers. I think some people don't understand yet what it is and what it can do for you. We love acronyms in the technology world, so we're going to explain it today. So today we have Jayson Duff from Griffin Solutions. He's a developer with Griffin Solutions. Griffin Solutions is actually our sponsor today too, so kind of cool that we have him as a sponsor, and also we can talk to one of their developers today about a really cool new productivity automation tool that's been out there for a few years. So Jayson, welcome to the show.
Great, thanks for having me.
No worries. So Jayson, just a couple questions from me, and then we can kind of talk together, because I know, just so everybody knows, I don't mind. So Jayson and I work under a company in separate companies, so we know each other and have seen this solution applied in different settings. So we'll be talking today about some use cases and some places where you could look at it and ways to maybe get involved with someone that's giving it as a service or solution like ourselves. So first, Jayson, tell us, how did you get involved or get exposed to RPA?
Yeah, absolutely. In my 20s, I was working as a underwriting assistant in the insurance industry, and my job was mainly preparing reports for underwriters. And one day they came to us and said that they were going to implement RPA into our department, and I panicked. And I went home that day and I bought a textbook on Python, and I started learning to code in my lunch breaks. And I kind of followed that panic all the way to becoming a developer and an RPA developer. And now that I'm on the other side, I realized that that panic wasn't really necessary, but here I am, I'm programming these robots, and I'm having a good time.
No, that's cool. Hey, listen, I would say to you as feedback, I don't know if others will agree, is that my experience is those moments are awesome moments that kind of take you into moments where you can progress technology, which you've done, and now you're doing for us. So I'll start with just a quick funny story. As I was actually at an event a few weeks back here in Atlanta, Association of Capital Growth, and I was talking a little bit about RPA, and there was a realization for me, because we talk a lot with technologists and people who might be wanting to apply it, and the person I was talking to actually said, is this something being used on manufacturing lines? Which there was, like, devices in the past, they're still out there. But no, this is not. This is Jayson and I'll talk a little bit about it. These are bots, as we call them, that you can write, and they'll go in and actually automate processes. And I think when we think automation of processes, we think it's something complex or something that it's not. And that's what I want to talk a little bit with Jayson about, is some use cases he and I have seen that are really things that are you take for granted in your business, but they're things that are redundant, maybe that you can make efficient, and it'll drive your profit numbers up. So Jayson, do you have a couple of examples you want to talk about? And I'll throw a few out as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest issue with RPA is the misnomer of robot. That ends up causing the most confusion. Of course, I like to say that I work on robots. It sounds very sophisticated, but really these are just simple pieces of software. And the technology has been around for a long time. It started with scripting, and people in the IT world have been using scripts to automate tasks, for a very long time. And RPA builds on that technology and makes it a little bit more sophisticated. But these are not intelligent pieces of, their own sentient robots. These are pieces of software that are best used to achieve repetitive tasks. So going to the examples that you're looking for, these bots really shine when you are, say, in the financial sector or the insurance sector or even the medical sector, and you're working with legacy applications. And these legacy applications might not have a well-developed back end, meaning limitations with their API. And you have employees that are entering reports and doing repetitive data entry tasks, and they're being slowed down by working on these legacy programs. Well, a solution to that is you could pay a lot of money and try and reorganize all of your technology, or you could implement some of these bots and they can do the repetitive tasks and free up your employees to focus on other productive activities.
Excellent. No, I agree with you. I just throw out a few too. I agree with the industries you mentioned. I've seen a lot in like manufacturing, warehousing, but I've also seen like that we've got a current case that we're working on with automation. We'll use a little RPA. We'll get into that in a second, that, we don't want to necessarily subscribe solutions, but in this case, they've got folks just manually entering and moving, for instance, like contracts and new installs, et cetera. And we're talking about writing this because that will take the hands off of it. And it's not always, you're getting rid of a human resource. I mean, if we think about that right now, I mean, obviously, we all agree we're seeing a labor shortage just within our workforce. And in this case, they're able to redeploy these resources to something else that's a little bit more where they can use their talent versus having to just type things in. So that's somewhere I've seen it as well. I'm sure you have. So any others that you bring up?
Yeah, there's really almost a limitless end of possibilities. And you don't have to have RPA be your only solution. And it could be as big or as small as you want. So I've seen RPA completely handle tasks, and I've seen it just entered into an existing task to kind of ease up and add more breathing room for the employees involved in those tasks or the other resources needed.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say to you, and just see if I think we agree, we talked in the past, is it's really seamless to the client. I mean, you take the engagement. We would come in, our groups, Jayson included, and we'd do an assessment. We do a lot of assessments. We'll talk about that in other podcasts for Tech Positive. But we talk about all these. That's one of the things that I love. I love the technology. I love it's cutting edge, but don't think about it as complex. It's something that it's seamless to the client. I mean, from a client perspective, and having been a client in the past, I mean, really, you're just going, wow, this is cool. I've automated processes that I saw as processes that were pretty labor intense that I can ahead and redeploy. So, I mean, that's the way, I just try to simplify it for people, because I think when people hear these topics, people try to make it a little more complex. And I've always appreciated that with you. You said it spot on, is that, it's not a robot. It's not something to think about that's very complex. I mean, it's a seamless, very achievable, very affordable solution to automate processes. We have other automation options that I'll be talking about in our next podcast. But I mean, this is just a cool one that if you see it in action and want to see it in action, it's a real game changer, in my opinion. So anything else you'd leave us with on RPA?
I think if you're a business owner or work in IT and you are thinking about RPA or looking for opportunities for RPA, I think the best place to start is around the Outlook focused tasks. So one of the parts where people are kind of surprised by RPA is its ability to respond to emails, to read emails, and then to do different tasks performing on the emails that it reads and receives. So if you have employees that are responding to emails and then performing certain tasks depending on what are in those emails, and I think that's most of us, that's certainly a good place to start with RPA. And you have the opportunity to get your employees away from constantly checking for new emails and breaking up their focus throughout the day with that activity. And you can automate that and move a lot of that mental energy elsewhere.
Awesome. Hey, excellent input from you today, Jayson. Thanks so much for being on the podcast with me. So just to close, I would just say to everyone here is that if you hadn't heard about this yet, I mean, I hope you got some good information on it. But the one thing I want people to take away is that it can really be a game changer on tasks that maybe you're putting a lot of heads towards. I mean, we've all been there, right? When running our business, when, you see something and you say, hey, we need to fix this or put a solution. And a lot of times the answer used to be, and sometimes still is, let's throw a body at it. Well, right now it's tough to find bodies right now, for a lot of different reasons. But this is one of many solutions. And it's a really, I think, a solution that really helps increase profitability as well. Listen, if you like Tech Positive, like and subscribe down below. I'm going to add something this week is if you want anything on these topics or just to talk, certainly email me at charlie.dino@acquiretech.com. So listen, thanks for joining us on the podcast Tech Positive, and I hope you'll see technology increasing your revenue and profitability in the future. If you believe technology can be a positive for business growth, please like and subscribe.